Hey guys, welcome to What If Deku Had All for One and Was Betrayed Part 5. Last time we left off after the internships and first term final exam. Now that everyone is caught up, let's begin. Before going to the training camp, the Expo is held, and due to owning many companies in the support beer sector, it is obvious that Kyoko was invited. She also received an invitation due to winning the sports festival, allowing her to invite 3 other people with the extra ticket and the plus ones, allowing the rest of the girls to also attend instead of staying inside their rooms. While taking a tour around the Island Support Beer School, she bumped into Melissa Shield, introducing herself to her. They talk about support items for a while, getting to know each other and share ideas to help develop future gear. Due to their new friendship, Melissa decides to take Kyoko around the island. While on their tour they notice many pro heroes including Godzilla, all invited to the event by sponsors. Melissa asks Kyoko if she's attending the reception party at the end of the night. Excited, Kyoko states that to most of the world, it is seen as a boring party where rich people talk business, but to her it is a place to share ideas and supercharge humanity's development. So there is nothing in the world that can stop her attending. Pleased with her answer, Melissa takes Kyoko to the pavilion and shows her tons of different inventions out on display, some of which were designed by her. Kyoko eventually asks about Melissa's dad and she admits she's aspiring to be a great scientist just like he is. While discussing new technology, the duo bump into the rest of the girls in 1 a.m., deciding to have a rest and get some drinks, where they meet Denki and Minto who got jobs as waiters. They also meet Shoto who was invited to the island to represent his father. After eating, they decide to try out the villain attack attraction, with Kyoko easily completing it in less than a second, lifting all the robots in the air, crushing them like they were nothing. Seeing this, Melissa is shocked to see Kyoko display her immense expertise at using her quirk, and states she wished she had a quirk like that, explaining how she was quirkless, but never let that hold her back. Wanting to reward Melissa, Kyoko makes a mental note to secretly give Melissa a quirk later on, however nothing too powerful. While helping Melissa to get changed, Kyoko places her hand on Melissa's back, transferring a quirk she rarely ever used called Hacker, which allows the user to manipulate technology within a 15-meter radius of the user using their mind only. Melissa feels a strange sensation go through her body, but ignores it. Arriving at the party, Kyoko wears an expensive strapless rouge rose pattern silk dress with a sweetheart neckline, exposing her sternum and upper breast. The dress also had a symmetrical slit, leaving the hemline a uniform length evenly distributed around the slit, exposing her legs, hinting what could be found underneath. To complete the attire, she also wore a pair of 18-karat white gold brilliant cut 5-karat diamond hoop earrings, a 18-karat white gold brilliant cut 12-karat diamond bracelet, and finally a platinum emerald cut halo diamond ring, with her name inscribed on the inside, on her left pinky finger. The sight of this nearly made half the boys in the class faint, while at the same time, had Eureka fainting calculating how many years of rent she could afford with the cost of the dress alone. Just before they could enter the main event, Wolfram and his crew arrive taking control of the island's security system, threatening to kill all the citizens on the island if the heroes don't surrender. The villains then take David Shield and his assistant out of the room to retrieve something. Having already known about the plan, but not wanting it to fully succeed how the villains imagined it would, Kyoko decides that she is going to fight the villains whether they like it or not, with Melissa and the others agreeing to help. In the control room, the villains threaten David and escort him to another area. Meanwhile, the UA students scale over 50 floors until they run into a shutter cutting them off from the 80th floor. Wanting to take the easiest route, Minto makes a poor decision and opens the door to the main section of the floor, notifying the villains who sends 2 members to neutralize them. The shutter doors also start to close around them, however Kyoko easily keeps them open using her telekinesis, then punching through one, opening a path to the plant factory. Noticing the elevator going up, Kyoko uses her telekinesis to levitate everyone to the next floor, telling them to keep going, not going up herself, deciding to stay to fight the villains, choking them as soon as the doors open, then slamming them together. Seeing their quirks as potentially useful or interesting at the very least, Kyoko decides to steal them, taking the elevator up to the rest. Without an easy way up, Kyoko notices a small door, which she assumes would lead to the maintenance room, tearing it open, flying up the new hole, releasing the ladder for the others. Realizing the UA students won't stop resisting, Wolfram orders his subordinates to open all the doors, allowing the students to rapidly arrive at the 130th floor, where they are intercepted by the security bots. Seeing this as the perfect opportunity to reveal Melissa's quirk, Kyoko picks up Melissa with her telekinesis and throws her at the robots, telling her to believe in her ability to stop the robots. Scared, not believing in her ability, Melissa screams, "Stop," which subconsciously deactivates every device within a 15-meter radius around her, including the robots. Shocked by her actions, Melissa asks Kyoko how she knew about her quirk, with Kyoko making up a lie, telling her that she noticed when she forgot to lock the door to her room. And when they went back to lock it, it was already locked, suggesting that she probably subconsciously used her quirk. And previously has only ever done it subconsciously due to being misdiagnosed as quirkless. Believing the explanation, Melissa is excited, and continues to use her quirk to deactivate all the incoming robots. While going up the stairs, the group is shot at by the villains, but Kyoko stops all the bullets midair, turning them back towards the villains, pinning them to the walls by their clothes. Then punching them in the chest, knocking them out. Nearly at the control room, they are attacked by a villain with a blade quirk, who Kyoko instantly throws through a wall, and while pretending to check his pulse, steals his quirk. Eventually they make it to the top floor of the tower. Together they find David's shield inside some sort of vault. Inside the storage room, David manages to unlock a special block and sends Sam to retrieve a special item. David swears to never let this device into the wrong hands, and Sam replies that everything is according to plan. Melissa overhears the men talking about working with the villains. Melissa makes her father admit the truth, as he reveals he created a quirk amplification device, but it was taken away and locked up by their sponsors. It was originally Sam's idea to hire fake villains to steal the research back for them. Class 1AM and Melissa are all horrified by this revelation, and the latter demands to know why. David admits that he was doing this for All Might because his quirk is disappearing. Angry, Melissa tells David that she and her friends risked their lives to save everyone, showing off a scar from Swordkill's attack on her arm. Confused, David says the villains were supposed to be fake. Wolfram makes a dramatic entrance and reveals that the only act was the villains pretending to be fake. 1AM- Kyoko tries to attack, but Wolfram quickly restrains them using his metal manipulation quirk. Sam betrays David and brings the device to Wolfram. He claims that David turned his back on him when they never got paid for working so hard. Wolfram shoots Sam in the arm and acts like they never had an agreement. He shoots again, but David jumps in the way of the bullet. Wolfram steps on David's injured body and tells him to stop playing hero. He reminds David that his crime is real and that won't disappear with one good act. Wolfram claims David can't go on being a scientist anymore and knocks him out. He plans on using David to mass-produce the quirk amplification device. Melissa pleads with the villains to return her father. Her cries fall on deaf ears and Wolfram threatens to eliminate her, firing a bullet at her, but Kyoko easily stops the bullet, removing her restraints, tossing them at the villain. However, it is blocked by a wall of metal, separating Kyoko and Melissa from the rest of the class. Kyoko then orders Melissa to save everyone else on the island, by taking control of the security system, while he takes care of Wolfram and saves her father. Wolfram attempts to escape the helicopter, however Kyoko easily stops it from leaving, ripping it in half, sending it crashing into the roof. To survive the attack, Wolfram puts on the device, greatly increasing his quirk's power, surrounding himself with metal. Kyoko could easily beat Wolfram by removing the device, however doesn't, instead only dodges Wolfram's attacks, waiting for All Might. When All Might arrives, he is instantly targeted and pushed back by Wolfram's attacks and Kyoko sneakily throwing meal at All Might's back. Thinking he had finally beat the villain, All Might launched towards Wolfram to punch him in the face, however he is caught by wires and held back, instead getting his injured stomach squeezed, revealing Wolfram's possession of multiple quirks. Noticing this, All Might asks if All for One was involved, with Wolfram explaining that after hearing a friend of All Might wanted to partake in a villainous activity, All for One gave him a super strength quirk, stating his only complaint is not being there to witness it. Now done with All Might, Wolfram prepares to kill him, slamming multiple super compressed cubes of metal into All Might from all angles, then piercing it with metal spikes. However, the attack is stopped by Deku warping in, melting the metal using a quirk called liquidation, which turns any non-organic substance into a liquid, without the need for thermal energy. Deku then states that All Might is his prey, grabbing him by his neck, tossing him off the tower. He then punches through the metal, and pulls out David's shield, retreating back, stating his father's plan was to just have All Might's friend do something villainous. However, his plan was the exact same, however it also involved All Might being too weak to stop the villain and save his friend, only to wake up and find out he was saved by a villain. with the same quirk as the one that killed his master. He then heals Professor Shield's bullet wound with cell activation, asking him if he is okay. Stating he has always respected his technological developments and has followed his career as long as he could remember, and hopes to work alongside him very soon. With the introductions out the way, Deku removes his blazer, tossing it to the side, and outstretches his hand, stating that Wolfram's biggest strength is also his biggest weakness. Confused Wolfram asks him what he means, firing multiple attacks at Deku, which he easily dodges. Deku then elaborates, saying even an elementary school student knows that metal is extremely conductive due to its delocalized electrons. Realizing Wolfram is still confused, Deku states that there isn't much of a brain up there is there, so instead of explaining, he will demonstrate it. Catching one of the attacks, coating it with oil, with a quirk called Slick, then using a fire quirk to ignite it, superheating the metal, but before it could reach Wolfram. Deku also activates Tempest, making a huge thunderstorm, with lightning striking Deku's finger, then using a quirk called Power Up, Deku magnifies the voltage, releasing it into the metal. Traveling up the metal, electrocuting and burning Wolfram. With Wolfram nearly dead, Deku slowly walks towards him, as if he hadn't just beat a super powerful villain, putting his hand on Wolfram's face. Stealing his quirks and taking the slightly damaged device, warping away. Okay guys, this is the end of the 5th part of What If Deku Had All for One and Was Betrayed. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. With that out of the way, this is Demonic Saiyan saying bye.